It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thanks for being here. As always, we do appreciate it.
Thank you.
So the president is up to what today?
He, in fact, overnight, flying to Raleigh, Durham. They've got a campaign event later at 12:30 p.m. local time there in Raleigh, Durham. After that, he and the First Lady will fly to New York. And I think that one is a campaign event and a fundraiser, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, it's definitely a full day.
If you're just waking up and you didn't happen to catch the debate, no fact checking.
Nope.
That doesn't matter. It was a disaster for Biden.
Yep.
The mainstream media agrees it was a disaster for the Biden. Here's part of just a small snippet to show you part of the problem for Biden yesterday, which is something that we have clearly seen over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Wow.
I mean, that was one of his worst moments, but he had a lot of other bad moments. Let's hear from some of the analysis out there. This is from Chris Wallace yesterday on CNN.
This has been, quite frankly, a car accident in slow motion that we've seen over and building and questioning it. And, you know, as has been pointed out, Joe Biden sought this debate at this remarkably early time because he knew he was losing and he needed to change the narrative. Yeah. And he did change the narrative. He sunk his campaign tonight.
By the way, he's not a Trump supporter.
No.
Just want to make clear. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Continuing with because that's really the story is how the mainstream media, how the liberal media is treating this.
Right. No, this is all about Biden's performance.
Right. And there's only just Bakari Sellers, who was a South Carolina state representative, and Gavin Newsom, the only ones that are saying, whoa, now let's stand back and see where this is going to go. You can't judge the president by one debate. Well, you're not judging the president by one debate. This is just confirmation to what everybody already knows.
Right.
They're trying to, that they were trying to make it sound like, oh, this is just, and even the vice president. Well, just 3 years he's been great. Just tonight, as if this is just a recent occurrence, which of course is ridiculous. Here is more. This is on CNN. And Anderson Cooper and the reporters talking about what happened.
After his performance, it has really set off panic. There was one Democratic congressman I was in touch with who was on Capitol Hill at a watch party with a number of other lawmakers. And that moment early on in the debate where President Biden was talking about the national debt and seemed to lose his train of thought, paused for several seconds, and then gave a confusing answer. He said that when that happened, the entire room was just completely silent and in shock, and that this member's own reaction was that he wanted to jump off of a bridge. And he said that throughout the course of the 90 minutes of the debate, he and the other lawmakers in the room felt like Donald Trump looked young and Joe Biden looked old, and that Donald Trump seemed to mostly be on the offensive, and that Joe Biden seemed to be mostly on the defense. Democrats, he said, are just panicked right now and don't even know what to do. I mean, these are some really devastating reviews for a Biden campaign that really wanted to use tonight to dispel this notion that President Biden is too old for a second term.
Nothing surprised us from what we saw from Biden because we have seen it consistently when he does speak to the media.
Yeah.
And up until this week, that was called a cheap fake and a deep fake.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, no, that's completely inaccurate. These things are really, really happening. But when he was mumbling and when he lost his train of thought, these are things we have seen dozens upon dozens of times over the last couple of years.
Yep. And
So-
it's been there's been a real remarkable decline over the last few weeks, few months, and everybody has seen it. The left doesn't want to acknowledge it. I don't know what they were hoping for. For those on the left that were tuning into the debate, did they actually think, after watching him in public over the last couple of months, that this would go any differently? Why would you think that? Did they think they were going to have a moment where after 90 minutes on the debate stage with Trump, they would be actually cheering him? I don't know. Are you hoping against hope? I really can't put myself in that mindset because I was surprised, frankly, that he agreed to debate. But that's what it gets down to. He made the decision. He would have to make a decision to drop out, as Democrats are widely calling for him to do. Not official Democrats in power, not in Congress yet, but the liberal media.
And it's not just when he was speaking. It's when Trump was speaking, how he looked.
Yeah.
This, again, is from Cenk Uygur, who the Young Turks been on that podcast for the longest time, is one of the most liberal people in the United States.
Yeah.
And was his analysis of the debate.
And the whole time the split screen is killing Biden. Because he's got his mouth open, he looks confused, doesn't know where he is. He's lost his train of thought at least twice in like disastrous shape. Those are going to be played 1 billion times in viral video after viral video. This is an epic disaster. I see people online saying, well, okay, that answer wasn't so bad. No, it doesn't. Any particular answer doesn't matter at all. This thing is over. He looks like he's barely surviving. I don't mean the debate, I mean life. And so there's no person that has a single brain cell left in their head who thinks that Joe Biden is the best candidate to take on Donald Trump. You would have to be even crazier than Donald Trump to think that.
Wow. You're crazier than Donald Trump.
And you just love how they try to throw in the shot to have equity between both. This is their DEI.
Yeah.
They're trying to promote equity between the two candidates there. This was a bizarre moment from Biden yesterday. And I'm just going to play it. This is here we go.
Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in. They talk about that, but here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get the feeling? And I know the time was cut off, but it appeared,
Yeah.
And I know I'm not the only one. It appeared like, no, we're just trying to tell them you need to shut up now.
No, I mean that was it. And they were in the New York Times. They were talking about how the moderators weren't fact checking, and people aren't happy about that. Liberals aren't happy that Dana Bash and Jake Tapper weren't fact checking. In other words, debating Trump. And I wondered, how do you handle it with Biden? If he has one of those meltdown moments, do you go to a break early? Because you only have 2 breaks. What do? You try and finish his sentence? Well, what you do is you just kind of look down. You don't do anything. You move on. In that case, Dana Bash, thank you. Right as the clock is done, because he was making a weird point.
Well,
What he was trying to do is convey what the left has been saying. Well, yeah, we know immigrants are committing rape and murder, but people here in the States
are doing it,
and they do it at a higher rate per capita,
but he was saying,
which is a stupid argument.
But the way he explained it was
Exactly.
just bizarre. They're being raped by their in-laws, by their brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And one of the best comments was by comedian Russell Brand, who probably 5 years ago I wouldn't agree with anything with him, and he has slowly realized that the left is nuts.
Yeah.
But he wrote, "We're 17 minutes in, and Joe Biden is discussing the problem of people being raped by their brothers and sisters, which is quite an extraordinary yet niche topic to discuss." Like, oh my God,
it did. I mean, it was just weird.
I know.
And that was Dana Bash that you heard. Thank you. Basically trying to shut it down. Doing all she could do to shield the president by stopping him from talking. But it was a complete meltdown. Gavin Newsom saying Biden's presidency has been a masterclass.
I know.
Nope. If you want a masterclass in meltdown, that's last night. That's a masterclass in meltdown. I would suggest you don't take it, or you take it and do the opposite. It's a masterclass in what not to do. And keep in mind, how many days was he in prep? How many days did they put him in prep?
Entire week, over a week, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because it was the previous Thursday.
Yeah.
Wow.
So a full week. You even had, look, when you have Chuck Todd, when he can't spin it, here we go. You've got problems. Here's Chuck Todd.
One of the things was, would either candidate look like the caricature that the other campaign has been trying to paint of him? And at the end of the day, Joe Biden looks like the caricature that conservative media has been painting. And there were no clips tonight, right? You saw it before your eyes. Look, I don't want to just tell you what I think here, Tom. I've been talking to a lot of leaders in the Democratic Party, electeds, coalition leaders. There's a full-on panic about this performance. Not like, oh, this is recoverable. It is more of a, okay, he's got to step aside. There's a lot of that chatter. This is about as bad of a performance in order to that Biden could have delivered if his goal was to try to sort of calm the waters among Democrats. I mean, look, there was,
wow. What I love is where he's, this was a caricature that that Biden just, happened to confirm that this was a caricature. No, it's not. Biden just confirmed what we already knew. It was just another confirmation of what we knew already.
Yeah.
And the Democrats and the Biden administration and his wife and every member of his cabinet that said, he is absolutely just, doing backflips and on the uneven parallel bars as he goes one-on-one with Caitlin Clark and then gets into a Milton Friedman economist debate. That he's just so fast and we just can't keep up with him.
Mm-hmm.
We all know now that has just been a complete lie. Scott Jennings, by the way, said that on CNN. Let's play this short clip here.
Told for weeks by Democrats who say, oh, in private meetings, I've seen Joe Biden do cartwheels and handstands while doing trigonometry while solving all the nation's problems. We now know that every single person who said that has been lying to the American people. Told for weeks.
Yeah. Here's a story from, and we've been basically hopping around all the liberal media websites, Politico, from just a few hours ago. Democrats really have no way to spin this. We break down Biden's disastrous debate.
And there was something worse than the debate last night.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll tell you what that is and play the audio for you next.
Oh, boy.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by Howes Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Starting Monday, applications are being accepted for an updated version of USDA's Emergency Assistance for Livestock, Honeybees, and Farm-Raised Fish Program.
Designed now to provide financial assistance to dairy producers who are incurring milk losses as a result of H5N1.
Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack with the announcement Thursday. Speaking to reporters, the secretary says the goal with the expanded ELAP is
we want to assist our dairy producers in every way we can to assist them as they combat this emerging mental health disease challenge.
applications will be accepted at local Farm Service Agency offices. FSA oversees ELAP. The Federal Register notice will also contain information on eligibility requirements, needed documentation, and ELAP payment calculations. ELAP applications associated with H5N1 infection in dairy cattle will be accepted through January 30th of next year. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. The worst part of the night for Biden was not the debate, as bad as it was. Yeah. It was post-debate, and we played this a couple of times, and you can find this video. I posted it on X at Gary Red Eye 1. Eric also did at Eric Harley. Mm-hmm. And this is his wife, Jill. Oh. And this is just cringeworthy. She's talking to him, and you need to see the video so you can see how he looks. He looks like a child being told by his mother, "You did a good job on that test today, Billy." Here it is. This is worse than anything that I saw. Here we go.
It's horrible.
Yep.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the... And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Why?
By the way, her voice is also cringeworthy. It's just reaching frequencies.
It is grating, but it is so cringe because she's looking at him. You really have to see the video.
You got to see the video. You have to look at the video.
She's looking at him. Here's the play. If you do something like that, and you're the first lady, you come out and you say, "Did you see our president on stage tonight? Wasn't that great?" And you're going to have to conjure up some stuff to get that one out. But you're not looking at him. She's looking directly at him like she's potty training a child. You did it all by yourself.
Yeah, it's creepy. It really is.
It is really bizarre.
And
it made it so much worse.
And the frequency and the volume of his voice, I was longing for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, exactly. It was just...
It's creepy.
The entire video is just weird. You have to see it.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Listen when and where you choose, if you can't do it overnight, live on one of our great radio stations.
And thank you.
Jill Biden, talking to Joe Biden, the Trump campaign should be putting that all over the place. Now, the surrogates have overnight, but that is just, you look at that and you're like, wow. She's talking to him like he's a child. And he looks like a child if you see his face.
Yeah, he's got to look like he's barely aware of what she's saying or where he is.
Yes.
And this weird almost smile, but and then he looks out into the audience, slowly turns his head. It's not a good look.
And New York Post editorial this morning. Millions just witnessed the end of a presidency live on television. Joe Biden's performance during the debate was embarrassing. Whenever CNN put him up on the split screen, he had 1,000-yard stare. He didn't look old. He looked ancient. He looked empty. And that's what you get.
Yeah.
It's that stare. It's the open mouth. Look, Cenk Uygur, who the well-known far-left liberal Trump hater, Biden lover of all Democrat things, he's the one that I first saw say that.
Yeah.
From the left. Now, you and I didn't see anything that surprised me. Everything that I saw there, I've seen before. There was nothing new there. Now, we watch every single, press briefing statement that he makes. Mm-hmm. So we've seen it before.
Yeah.
And the American public knows it from the polls. This was not Biden is doing great, and all of a sudden he just had one bad debate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
This was just the ultimate confirmation, built on confirmation after confirmation after confirmation after confirmation, because of incident after incident after incident after incident, that was not a cheap fake. Of course, Karine Jean-Pierre was lying to you. All the Democrats saying that he was fine were lying to you. All the members of his cabinet that said they just can't keep up with him as he does double backflips and then reads War and Peace in 5 minutes as a speed reader, and then comes back and starts talking the economics of the United States. We all knew that was a line of BS. Mm-hmm. And it was. They were lying to you.
Yeah, right.
And it's just, so it was nothing new to us. It was the fact that it was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It happened in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
You can miss a field goal in the regular season. Nobody cares. Miss one in the Super Bowl. Ask Scott Norwood. Wide right.
Yep.
And that goes down in history. And that has an impact. And that's what happened to the president last night. He did nothing that he hasn't done dozens upon dozens upon dozens of times over the last 2 years. When we said he had cognitive problems and the left would call us every name in the book, we were right. They were lying. I take no joy in it.
No.
I take no joy in watching a person who has cognitive problems, an elderly person, whether it's dementia, whatever it is, you and I have both seen it in our families. It's not pleasant. And we always repeat this so you know, whenever we have played audio and we may chuckle afterwards, we have stated it's not because of his cognitive problems. It is because we laugh at the people that are saying nothing is wrong with him. We laugh at the gaslighting. We mock at the lying of the people around him who are absolutely reprehensible and evil for allowing this to continue. And that includes his wife. That includes the first lady.
Well, for me, it all comes down to Jill Biden. Jill Biden has the power to end all of this. And she's not doing that. So I already know she doesn't care much for this nation. Do you care for your husband?
Yeah.
And I don't know, again, how you look at something like this. And honestly, I said that on my way out the door to my wife on my way to work tonight, and it was before I saw the audio, we played the audio, but the video that you and I shared on X. It's on full display. In that moment, she's behaving that way, and she looks like a caretaker. We say she's talking to him like a child. She's talking to him like a caretaker. She's handling the moment like a caretaker. And the fact of the matter is that she's not a surrogate in that right there in that moment. She's not. And she has the power. If someone were doing that to my loved one, you would not be able to stop me. There's no way. Sorry, something has to be done because the person deserves the care they need. And this whole charade has to end. There's just no way around it. There really is no way around it. And now the left acknowledges it. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
Say to yourself, if you're a Democrat, say to yourself right now, 4 more years. Just say it out loud.
And now what happens? Because it was, except for Gavin Newsom and Bakari Sellers on Twitter, who I believe worked for CNN or MSNBC. I thought he had a show there one time. I just always, because when I saw his picture on Twitter, I go, okay, I've seen him on one of those networks. He was I think a state senator in South Carolina, except for him and Gavin Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
Who was saying you can't judge him, and of course, the vice president.
Right.
Who said you got to judge him by the last 3.5 years. You can't judge him by just one debate. And, of course, everybody knows that's not what the people were doing. It's not like people just, I can't believe Joe Biden is like this. It's exactly what they thought because the majority of the nation. When you see, for example, how many people, you talked about the shock poll on CNN. Is that what they call it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what they call it?
Snap poll?
Snap poll, whatever it is.
Yeah.
67 to 33. That's roughly, when you think about it, the amount of people before that thought he shouldn't be running for president and thought he had cognitive problems.
Yeah, right.
So that he is too old to run.
Right.
And so that really didn't change much because it wasn't, again, people discovering something. It was just it was the Super Bowl. Everything else was just regular season games. Mm-hmm. This was the Super Bowl. Sorry, now we know you're a bad quarterback.
Yep. Yeah, and, what's interesting, too, is that what are we hearing in the hours after the debate? It's Newsom, Newsom, Newsom. No one's saying Kamala, Kamala, Kamala. Now, we've been in this discussion for a long time, but the left is just now jumping into it in a big way because they're scrambling. I mean, they're desperate.
And there's only two choices, and these choices have to be made quick. And I'm talking about the surrogates.
Mm-hmm.
This is the congressional leadership, the Democratic congressional leadership.
Yep.
And the donors.
Yeah. Ooh. Wow.
They've got to. I mean, this morning, because people are going to be all over the place. All the morning news shows. You're going to have Republicans pounding on this. They either have to say he's got to go, and they need to speak in a united voice, or the vast majority stating that this morning, or they've got to say the Gavin Newsom line, this was just one debate. You don't judge people by one debate.
Right.
You judge them by the totality of their incredible 3.5 years as president of the United States.
Yep.
Nobody's going to buy that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem.
So you can't – either choice is a bad choice.
Well,
there are no good choices here.
Because Biden has to be the one that makes that decision. Joe Biden himself will have to make it. So they're scrambling behind the scenes. How do we convince him? You're not going to.
Well, he goes out, and he's out today, and he does, he got 2 rallies, a fundraiser, rally, whatever.
He's going to be in Raleigh-Durham, and then he's off to New York. And so he's got 2 campaign stops today alone.
Right.
And stopped at the Waffle House on the way after the debate.
Well, if that goes on, and then they're going to keep. It's going to be interesting to see how the Democrat leadership responds, because the leadership's going to be asked this question. Jeffries and Schumer, you throw your support. You're going to have AOC.
Mm-hmm.
Ask this question.
Yeah.
How are they going to respond?
Right. I can only guess.
And
it's the Gavin Newsom response. Hey, don't judge him by one debate. He had a bad night. He's a great president.
Then
you just leave it.
Well, if it's left and that's it, all Trump has to do is go out, talk a few issues,
and I look forward to the next debate in September.
Right. Run his campaign ads and do whatever he has to do.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't have to be. Trump does not have to be aggressive on the campaign trail.
No, he has a rally today, but I mean, he can just do what he's been doing. He doesn't have to be. There's a lot of money he's not going to have to spend as a result of last night, quite frankly.
Because I can't tell you, in all my years of covering politics, and as we've always given political advice to both parties, just sort of, okay, where's the campaign now? How would you fight this? How would you do that? And we've often taken the Democrat side and said, okay, if I'm a Democrat, here's how I'd position myself against the Republican. And we do that because you find out where the weak points and the weak arguments are of Republicans by doing that.
Yeah. Yep.
I can't tell you what I would tell Biden if he's paying me to tell him how to run his campaign, because I mentioned that to you earlier, and you said, tell him to get out. Well, I can't, because he's paying me to be his campaign consultant.
Right.
And therefore, I've got to give him advice. The only advice I could give him is, because the only advice that's the best advice is you need to go back to 2020 again and hide. Because you can't be out in public, because now every single time he has a gaffe, it's going to be amplified 100 times more than it was just a week ago. And believe me, it was amplified a week ago when they were doing the whole cheap fake.
And by the way, the cheap fake is actually on the liberal media. They're the ones that haven't been showing his moments that he's been having.
That's a great
They've
point.
been omitting those moments, especially the ones over the last couple of months. So if anybody's guilty of a cheap fake, editing to make it look like something that it's not, it's the liberal media.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. It's going to be interesting to see the first polls that come out.
Wow.
The first likely voter polls that come out in the next couple of days.
If that overnight poll, that Insta poll from CNN post-debate is any indicator, I'm guessing Trump is going to benefit. But, yeah, it will be, because now it will be, all right, forget the polls before the debate. It's going to be about the polls now after the debate. Last night certainly had a massive influence on a number of people that were either pretending or were on the fence or whatever. There is no question now. I don't know if they're going to go to Trump. I don't know if they're going to go to RFK Jr. I don't know. but the polls will definitely change.
Yeah, and I only want a poll that starts today.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
It's going to
right.
be, all the polls are going to be post-debate polls. That's the only relevant polls from this point on. And if Biden stays in, then you do the September debate?
I don't know. All I wish is that I was a fly on the wall on Air Force One today as they go to campaign, or what the morning meeting is today at the White House.
Yeah, well, Karine Jean-Pierre's traveling with the president.
Yeah.
So what's that meeting going to be like? Because he has a briefing, and I don't know what that's going to be like. Wow.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.